Okay, so we're going live. Oh my goodness. So happy to see you. Happy Wednesday. I got this notification that I can't get onto LinkedIn, but that's okay. Let me go ahead and close this out. Well, happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to the Win-Win Real Talk. This is the first episode, so don't mind me, or feel free to mind me all you wish. My name is phonetically spelled Uyen Nguyen. Very Vietnamese. I know. Very, very awesome it is. It's actually spelled Uyen Nguyen. Yes, it's a mouthful. But it's actually pronounced Uyen Nguyen, which is closest thing really to it is a win-win. So how fitting is the win-win real talk? Really, the goal of this was to bring light and bring a voice to different experiences that have changed my life, other people's lives. And I'm hoping that through just the fact that I'm going in and allowing for my heart to be the vessel, that you'll, log on feeling inspired and connected, and log off just feeling really empowered, walking away with something that's valuable, something that opened your heart, mind, soul, eyes, brains, to things that you never knew before, or maybe you did. And so now you know that you're not alone, right? You're not alone. And so a little bit about me. I actually grew up in Eastside San Jose. Shout out to Northern California and all my family and friends out there in the Bay. I was born and raised there. My parents actually escaped Vietnam in 1979 during the war on boat with my one and only amazing brother, John. And they made it successfully to a refugee camp in Indonesia. And sorry, this music is, I thought it would be a cool idea because I love music, but it's a little distracting. So yeah, my parents escaped, made it to a refugee camp in Indonesia, and my brother turned exactly 1 that day. It was like a miracle. My parents had really nothing but the clothes on their backs and maybe some photographs. And their choice at the time in Vietnam was hop on this boat, maybe make it, right? Maybe not, or stay and quite frankly die. So they made it, and then they had some other family members that immigrated successfully to Northern California, San Jose specifically. So it only made sense for them to kind of just follow. And then a few years later, I was born. And I will say that every single breath is a miracle. Like, I get really emotional about this because the chances, right? The chances. And I want you to know that you're a miracle too, right? The chances of us all being here right now together, connected, alive, healthy, it's a miracle. It's a miracle. So anyway, flash forward, grew up really in the hood, grew up really poor. We really had nothing, but I knew no different. I really did feel rich in love in that my parents were really affectionate, and just poured into us. And I'm so grateful for such an upbringing, things that money could have never bought. That's for sure, for sure. Whew. So my dad, he got really sick. He's been a smoker since, gosh, I don't know how long. He lost his dad really early on, and that triggered some things. And hey, back then, we didn't know how bad cigarettes were, right? And it became a part of really the lifestyle, especially in Vietnam. And so he got sicker and sicker and sicker, more and more ill. And it became really hard on the family, as you can imagine, because it doesn't just take you out physically and physiologically, it takes you out mentally too. emotionally, spiritually, in all the ways that really do matter, more than others, right? Sometimes. And so I went to school, did my thing, and really wanted to go to UC Irvine. There's something about them bouncy bunnies, right? And just being in Southern California, I had my heart set out for that. I really wanted to just be in SoCal for school. But one of my dad's dying wishes was really for me to stay in San Jose. My dad's so practical. He's such a closer with that because he's so real and so practical and so funny. I miss him so much. He was like, you know, you want to go down there and be in debt and not be at the top of your class? Or do you want to stay here with me? Because I could die tomorrow, you know, and you'll get grants, you'll get financial aid, right? And you'll maybe be at the top of your class here, no debt. It's like, ooh, dad, sold. Makes sense to me. So stayed home, went to San Jose State University, found what I thought was an amazing gig. I was studying business, and I always wanted to get into art though. I love art. I love creating. My dad was a famous artist in Vietnam. He was incredible. He did everything from chalk, oil, water, everything. Movie sets, murals. He did it all. He was so gifted. And I think I took that from him, and I wanted to like get into architecture. I was like, oh, that'd be so cool. My dad again sat me down. He's like, you're not going to make a good living with that. It's going to be really hard if you do. Maybe do something more well-rounded. You know, I see you in business. And I was like, well, business is not a bad idea. I love to create. I love the idea of entrepreneurship, right? Creating something of your own. And so I went ahead and pursued that. So here I am at San Jose State University, working towards my BA in business. And by the last year, I found this awesome job opportunity. This was pre-LinkedIn, guys. This was pre-Career Builder, probably around the same time. But I found this awesome job that screened me on Craigslist. And it was a sales host position for a new home developer. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. The spiral staircases, right? All the architecture that I always wanted, and plus the business side, this could not be any more for me. So I applied. Apparently over 100 applicants for this position. I got the gig. So grateful, so grateful. Now I'm like working the sales floor, helping people. It was very high volume. So it was like a new home development, right? You walk through the doors and there are model homes, and here I am to just present, demonstrate, and get connected and learn about you and help you through the process. Loved it, and was then given an opportunity to work there full time. So I said, oh my gosh, I need to take this now. Had to get my real estate license. And it was a very fortunate time because it was during the boom, right? It was during the boom. I was one of those lucky boneheads at the right place at the right time. And sometimes that can be it all, right? And so here I am working every weekend, every holiday, no quality of life, but that's okay because this was pre-kids, pre-mom life. And so that was my baby, right? My job was my baby. And, you know, I started to get my feet wet, got really good at what I was doing, was really like grateful, if I can be really real, really grateful to be like of Asian descent in a very predominantly white industry. You know, and I was so grateful to like, I felt so proud. There was such a sense of pride with that, you know, and not in a cocky manner, just more like, oh my gosh, I got in, you know. And then I realized, oh my gosh, here I am like managing, right, 3 communities at a time, selling $1.6 million homes. And yes, I had a salary. It was $40,000 for a new grad. That was pretty darn good, right? I pushed myself to graduate early. I took 21 units my last semester just so I can like jump on this opportunity before I miss it, right? And wow, I realized quickly, wow, yeah, you definitely want to get your feet wet. You want to do what you can to be ahead of the game. But if if I'm selling a $1.6 million home and I'm getting paid about $1,500 a pop, there's something wrong with that math, right? There is something wrong with that. And slowly it started eating me up because there was no real balance of work life. I was working like crazy and I was torn. I was so torn because I loved what I was doing. I loved helping families. I loved helping them with the biggest financial commitment of their lives. But at the same time, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting, excuse me, sorry to say, screwed. $1,500 for a $1.6 million home is not okay. I don't care if my salary is 40,000, right? That's just not okay. That's not right. And so there I was feeling so defeated and so confused. Like, is this for me? Is this really for me? I got to be also smart with my money, right? I got to be smart about this. And one day, someone walks through the model homes. Here I am. And I just demonstrated, as I normally would, anyone that walks through the doors. And at the end of it, he slipped me his business card. And he said, hey, I'm not looking for a home. I'm actually looking for a new home consultant for our new community that we're breaking ground on in South San Jose. Are you open to it? And inside, I was like ready to go. I was like, let's go right now. Let's go right now. But I had to be smart. Yeah, stay poised. And I said, I'm pretty happy here. So let's just, I'm open to hearing you out though. He said, awesome. So I went through the screening process and then met the VP, really connected there. And I got the gig. So now I'm about 21, 22 years old, making six figures in new home development, right? For Lennar Homes. It was the third largest home builder at the time. Great experience. Awesome. Loved it. Except slowly started to realize again, right, the realities of these six-figure jobs and what it really usually means. And that is, you do a good job, you get more work, right? And so I was, again, same schedule, working every weekend, every holiday, no quality of life. And I started having babies. And I was pregnant, had 3 kids, right? And a stepdaughter, my soul, spiritual baby, Kiana. She's amazing, right? Had her in my life. I was so blessed to have her in my life since I was 19 years old. She's 21 now. But we had her and then 3 of my very own biological, right, children during this career. And then by the 3rd was when it hit me, oh my gosh, this job, though I was getting paid on average about $150,000 and I made max in a year $199,000, it wasn't worth it anymore almost. I was like, gosh, this is crazy. I was working again around the clock. I barely had time for the kids. During the last few years of my career, I applied within and I interviewed within for the internet sales position. They realized 9 out of 10 people were looking online before walking through the doors and they needed someone to manage that process. And so I applied, got that gig, and I thought, yes, I can work from home. This is going to be sweet, right? And it was, but it wasn't. It was, but it wasn't, because there I was raising my kids while working. So I gave it up. Had a heart-to-heart with my husband, or my ex-husband, and we decided that it was more important for me to be home. And I'm telling you, that was the most difficult decision of my life. I worked so hard to get to where I was, to work up, that ladder, to be good enough to be noticed, to be recruited, right? To get through the rounds of interviews, get the job, right? Spearhead the internet sales team. And now boom, like it's time to go. It's time to go. And I'm so grateful to my ex-husband to allow me the opportunity to be home, because that too was a blessing. Right? I'm not going to discount that. But it was hard. It was so hard, because imagine now you're stripped away from your purpose, right? You're stripped away from what you knew you were good at and where you brought value in. And I was depressed straight up for 6 months at least. I said, what did I get myself into? What is this? Oh my goodness. Talk about being on the back seat of everyday life all day, every day now, and just like do everything you can. So I started feeling really down, and I knew I needed help. So I leaned on a book, and it's called The Magic of Thinking Big. I highly recommend that book to everyone who's in transition, especially. It really saved me. So there I am, stay-at-home mom. Ex, at the time, we're still married, right? He gets an opportunity to move to SoCal, and I completely uproot. And again, another hard transition in that I sold and helped facilitate the sale of the 107 homes in the community that I was selling last at. And so I knew all of my neighbors. They were an extension of our family, outside of the family and friends that I have in San Jose, because that was my base, that was my village, right? You guys are my tribe. So we uproot, moved to Southern California for his job, and a year later, I get the call that my dad's really not doing well, that he's pretty much on life support. Whew. And he was my best friend. I'm going to stay strong. And then just a couple weeks later, I deal with another surprise, and that was, hey, guess what? Your husband's cheating on you. Woo. And that was like the moment of complete despair for me. I questioned everything. I thought, oh my gosh, can anything else go wrong now? Right? Can anything more happen? And it does. Because now my ex, he needs to get to Malaysia after the 2 Malaysian airplanes crashed and disappeared. Do you guys remember that about 5 years ago? 6 years ago? And here he is telling me he doesn't even want to go. And I'm thinking to myself, oh crap, if something happens to him, now that I've given up my career and I'm a stay-at-home mom, about like 4 or 5 years deep, our family's going to be screwed in every which way, emotionally, mentally, financially. And I was worried. I was really worried. And that same week, I get a call from my mom. And that was the eye-opener. During the darkest time of my life, I had no idea that it was going to push me into the light of my purpose. And I'm so excited to share with you what happens next, because it was eye-opening. Eye, mind, soul, everything opening. My mom calls, right, amid all this. And she says, honey, I got the check. And I was like, oh, what were you talking about? And then I remembered in 1996, right? My mom did tell me this. 1996, my parents bought a home. They worked so hard, made so many sacrifices. And all the no's they said to me about wanting to be like an aspiring ninja and take karate classes, taekwondo, whatever it is. And they're like, nope, can't afford that, right? I want to take piano lessons. Nope, can't afford that. I want to take singing lessons. Nope, can't afford that. It all makes sense now. They were saying no to me to say yes to their American dream, our American dream, and that's buying a home. So in 1996, they did. And their real estate agent, props to that real estate agent. I thank you to this day. I'm going to find you to thank you personally. But my parents' real estate agent advised that they get some life insurance, because we were really young. They're like, hey, if anything happens, you want to secure the home for your kids too. Make sure you guys get something. And so they did with the company I work with now, Transamerica. Whoop, whoop. So I am very grateful to our company in so many ways because my parents have been clients and then I became a client. And that call was it for me. She called and said I got the check. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad. My mom had been in medical debt. You know, my dad was in and out of the emergency room about 21 times in the last 3 years of his life. So my mom, as a hairdresser, standing on her feet all day with no employer benefits, right? Or employer sponsored benefits, employee benefits, everything was out of pocket. So imagine how much debt my mom accrued from my dad's medical bills, prescriptions even. It was a mess. And I felt so helpless and hopeless too, because I wasn't working at the time to even provide help. And so when she said I got the check, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad, Mom. That's awesome. You need that. And in the industry, it's a small policy. It's $100,000. That's typically like the minimum. Yeah, we can go less than that, but that's typically the minimum when you want like higher quality product. And however, that was a huge amount for our family. $100,000, that's huge. That's huge. And then she said the magic words. And this was the most eye-opening gateway to the fact that I'm a financial strategist now, and I'm a financial advisor, but a very atypical one, as you can see, right? And she said, yeah, and they also said the check is tax-free. That the death benefit, that check is tax-free. And that I could use it for whatever I want. And I was blown away. I was blown away by something being tax-free. I mean, look around. Nothing we own have, right? I know I talked about this yesterday on Andrea's live, but like even the makeup on my face right now, none of it's tax-free. And so for me to hear that something was actually tax-free, as if it's cash money being deposited, right? Like there's more to this. I got to learn about this. I need to learn about this because there are loopholes that are legal out there that we may not know about. And so here I am at a time when my ex now needs to get to Malaysia, right? After the 2 Malaysian airplanes disappeared and crashed or whatever. So he and I have a heart to heart. And it was the most awkward time of my life. Ladies, men even, come forward and tell me how you think about this. But like, it was so awkward. I mean, this was after I found out about betrayal, confronted him and everything too, right? And so here I am talking to my ex, sat him down. I said, hey, we really need to talk. This is straight up awkward. You know me, I'm very transparent, very real. I'll say it like it is. But this conversation needs to be had. You know, I never married you for money. I had money of my own. I was actually making more than you. But I gave it all up to be home to raise the kids. It was the right thing to do. Money's not everything. Money's not. But it's needed, isn't it? We need it to survive and thrive. And I said, here's the thing. If something happened to you on this flight, our whole family would crash just as hard in every which way. So how do you feel about looking into getting life insurance? And not just for you, but for me too. Because let's be real, ladies, if you're a stay-at-home mom, whether you've always been because you've had to sacrifice for your family, right? Or if you had to transition, quit your job, work part-time, make it happen, go on a hiatus right now, a career hiatus, right? You are valuable. You are valuable. You are worth so much. You are irreplaceable, okay? And so I sat down with him and I said, hey, let's look into it for both of us. Because here's the thing. I know I'm not providing income right now, but how much would it cost to replace all that I do and all the value I bring to our family? The chef, right? I'm the cook, the nanny, the cleaner, right? The tutor, the chauffeur, the Uber driver, right? 5 stars. I mean, how much would it cost to replace me? Let's be real. So how do you feel about looking into it? And I will say I'm so grateful to my ex that he was so honorable and said, yes, we should look into that, needing life insurance. And I said, awesome. Here's the thing. My parents have been helped before. Let's reach out to the advisors, right? To the company that helped my family, because they don't just do life insurance, right? They do retirement planning, college savings, short-term savings, long-term care, whatever it is we need. And we need help. We need help. He's like, absolutely. Let's, like, no better person, but from someone that we've had a good experience with. So I reached out and I made that call. And it was one of the scariest phone calls I've ever made, because I was always afraid of life insurance. I knew we needed it sooner, but it wasn't a phone call that I was excited to make. Let's talk about the end and what it could mean and when that could come, which is anytime, right? And here's the thing, guys, no one gets out of here alive, right? So GoFundMe is not a financial plan. GoFundMe is not a financial plan. But here's what's so interesting, was that I reached out to the Transamerica financial advisor. His name is Jonathan Yu. He's amazing. I'm going to have him come on here and share his story to you. But I reached out and I said, hey, I could use some help. He was out of town, but he said, hey, my cousin Billy Lim is available. I trained him myself. He can come to you to help you. I said, awesome. They came to me and I gave them full on permission to sell me life insurance, but instead they educated me about money, things that I never knew. And I have a 4-year business degree, right? I knew none of this. And I was just blown away by what I didn't know. And I had a 6-figure career. I had a 401k with a match. Thought I was set. Had no idea how to really take control of my money, take control of my life, right? What it means to outsmart taxes, what's compound interest and how does that work and how could I get it working in my life, until our company, Transamerica. And I'm so grateful. I made that scary call, because I didn't want to talk about life insurance and I definitely didn't want to talk about money, because culturally we just don't do that. We just don't do that. But I also realized that we fear what we don't understand. We fear things we don't understand. And so with that, I just want to say, I want to empower more people, right? To get in the know about things that you may have never known before. When I did research myself, before I became a client and before I even came on board, I didn't know that there was an amazing business opportunity on the other side of this. Crazy again, how I was pushed into my purpose. But when I was a client, I did so much research. All my friends that know me know that I am like the research Nazi. Like I use Google and all these search engines quite on purpose. And I go well beyond the first page, okay? Sponsored pages. Like I am all about that, all about research and coming to my own conclusions, because there is an opinion on every opinion. But I will say that there were things I learned that was really eye-opening, okay? And one of which is the fact that life insurance, when we think life insurance, we think of just a death benefit. Reality check, it's not just that. It's not just the death benefit. There are so many living benefits within life insurance too. Some policies, like things I have access to, allow you an opportunity to access the death benefit while you're alive if you need to. How cool is that? Talk about living benefits, not just a death benefit, right? Premiums as low as $20 a month. How incredible is that? So if you have some life insurance, awesome, right? Maybe it's time for a review. I've replaced so many policies, getting people way more for way less even, okay? And then there's also what's called cash value inside of life insurance, and it's a tax advantaged strategy. It's considered like the rich man's Roth. You don't have to be rich to take advantage of it, but I sure as heck wish I knew about this sooner and had it working for me in my life much sooner than just 5 years ago, when I was directly impacted by my dad's plan, and God's plan of putting me in this place of where I am today. So guys, time is up. It's already 11:32. I'm going to share with you next week some ways that you can outsmart taxes. We can't evade taxes, but if I can show you tips and tricks on how to outsmart so that you can take more control of your time and money, would you want to do that? Heck yeah, that's a win-win, right? A real win-win. And on top of that, I'm gonna share with you my mommy. My mommy, she doesn't know this yet, but I did book her time. And I said, Mom, I would love to talk to you at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. EST next Wednesday. I didn't tell her about the Win-Win Real Talk, but I said, Mommy, I would love to talk to you next week. So I want her to come forward, have her voice back too, to share her story. It's very inspiring, very, very inspiring. And I can't wait to see you guys. I hope you got some value out of this. I hope you got a ton of value out of this. Just keep in mind that, yes, I'm a financial strategist, but I take a different approach. It's all about education. There's no obligation. And I'm in partnership with over 100 companies that are all A-rated. So Nationwide is on your side. And so is Prudential, Voya, Pacific Life, right? Transamerica, all these big name companies. And I'm able to really fight for you, fight for the families that I have an opportunity and privilege to sit down with, so that they're getting not just a second opinion, they're getting a built-in third, fourth, fifth opinion, And so just tune in next time. One more thing I'm going to leave you with, and it's a little cliffhanger, but this is pretty cool. When I was doing research to better understand money, right, I learned that banks own life insurance by the billions. It's the core measure of a bank's strength and how much life insurance they own. So think about how twisted our financial systems are, our educational systems are too, in the way in which we're not taught about money, the way we're putting our money in the bank, but we don't have money in life insurance, right? And creating our own personal savings account, family account. But did you know that? Did you know that? Kind of crazy, huh? See now why I'm so passionate about life insurance and being a financial and life strategist? Because you need it working in your life. And I want to see you grow in every awesome, positive way. I hope to see you next week, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Win-Win Real Talk. Thank you so much for allowing me to have my voice back. This journey has not been easy. All these transitions have been hard. I'm still working on it. Coming out of a very emotionally, verbally abusive relationship and narcissist is not easy, but it strengthens you. Sometimes in the best ways that empower you to feel like, oh my gosh, if I can live through that and work around that, you can work around anything, right? And so cheers to you. Cheers to all the changes, right? You never know what's to push you into a greater purpose of you, right? So just enjoy the process. Try to reach out, right? Reach out. I know asking for help is hard for me too, but people love you. We all want to help each other. Sometimes we just don't know how. So speak up, share, live, learn, all the love and light to you all. And I'll see you next Wednesday. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so now it's going to end broadcast. That's